Welcome to On Deck with DeRo Arch. I am Eric DeRosset. Along with me again is Darren Archer. We are here to talk a little sports, mostly collegiate and professional sports right now. So before we dive into that, Darren, good to see you and go Cubs, right?
Yes, especially right now as we're recording this. I won't mention why, but yes, go Cubs, as always.
Yeah, I was trying to set you up there so you didn't take the bait, but
Right.
anyway,
Not my first
yeah,
rodeo, big boy. Not my first
I
rodeo.
yeah, I got you. I got you. Hey, I'm going to lead off with just a few tidbit facts. This has kind of been my methodology lately of just sort of start with some small things and then we move on to Major League Baseball, NBA playoffs, and those kinds of things. I'm going to lead with this: Division One coaching salaries of their men's basketball program and their football program. I'm going to give you the top three of what those two coaches top top three university and what those two coaches of those two particular programs make combined. So for example, their men's coach makes 10 million, their men's basketball coach makes 10 million, their football coach makes 8. That would be a total of 18 million. Okay, so top three Division One combined salaries. Number one is Alabama. Coach DeBoer and Coach Oates making a combined 19.75 million per year. Okay. Number two, University of North Carolina, Bill Belichick and Michael Malone. Their combined salary annually, 18.3 million. And number three is University of Indiana. Coach Signetti and DeVries make roughly $17.5 million a year. Uh, Salary wise, combined annually, would you have thought more or less, or about what you would think?
Just from kind of keeping up with that stuff and just recognizing it when it comes across some of the sports pages, about what I thought.
Yeah,
I would say with Indiana, what did you say the combined salary
seventeen
was?
point five.
17. Signetti is probably getting 15.5 of that, and I would say DeVries is getting 2.
Yeah,
Um, but that's one thing that not only are institutions pumping money into the NIL and being able to build that fund up to be able to attract top athletes in their respective sports. I think they're also doing the same um, with their coaches.
yeah,
Now, the flip side of that coin is there's a lot more pressure on the coaches to go out and win now. There's no more of this. Hey, let's let him get his guys through to year 3 or 4 in the
yeah,
recruiting process. Now he's got his guys. Well, his guys are new guys every year, regardless of where you're at for the most part. So
right.
with the transfer portal and all that. So um, good money, a lot
Yeah,
of pressure, but great money. And you can tell the programs, Alabama, what was once thought of as a football school, has all of a sudden become a basketball school, so to speak.
right.
If they're in that top 10, top 15 every year and tend to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament past few years and made the Final Four, 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
Indiana, just the opposite, was
Mm.
thought of as a basketball school, win a national championship with a newly hired Kurt Signetti, and I think it just shows kind of the the change in eras that we're experiencing now,
Yeah.
and very interesting across the board, salary wise. Um, the money that's going into an athletic program at the same time going out of an athletic program to be able to field a winner.
Yeah. And I'm going to sort of tie this. We're going to talk about something later, but I'm going to tie this or sort of lead with this later on. Um, you and I are going to discuss here in a few minutes, the NCAA Division I men's basketball is likely going to from 68 teams to 76 next year, I believe. Um, and so, does the pressure increase even more if you don't make the top 76? Like, if you're not in the tournament, if you're not in the pool of 76, are you done? I mean, and so we'll hit that later, but I it almost feels like to me that the deeper that field gets, the more likely you are to be out as a coach if you don't make the tournament. So we'll dive into that in just a little bit, and that's all wrapped around salaries, and it's all combined together. But yeah, interesting stuff there. I'm going to switch gears here. Another little story that I want to share with you, and I think you'll just take this and run with it. So can't wait to hear your response. I'm a baseball guy and love baseball history. Um, those of you that don't know, there's a pitcher named Denny McLain in the late '60s for the Detroit Tigers, right-handed pitcher. Um and he won. He was the last pitcher in Major League Baseball to win um, 30 games or more in a single season. And in fact, he's the only guy since 1935 to win 30 or more games. Okay. And that was in 1968. He had 31 wins, and the Tigers won the World Series that year against St. Louis Cardinals. Um, Apparently this guy was a character, and Mr. McLean is still alive, I believe. So I would love to hear an interview with him. But in a 5-year span with the Tigers, he won 108 games as a
Wow.
pitcher. Pretty good. I mean, no matter what your decade or no matter what your time frame era of baseball, that's a lot of wins. Pitched over 1,300 innings. Uh, Publicly has stated that he would get cortisone shots frequently in his arm to help with the pain. Apparently, he had terrible arm injuries and just overuse type things. Obviously, with the 31 wins, I think that would be the case. But he's talked openly about getting shots just to be able to pitch. Um, so the interesting part of this story is in 1970, Sports Illustrated ran a story about him, allegedly citing him with being involved in gambling and the mob. Okay, so Sports Illustrated, who in that time, in my mind, was the leading. I mean, they're probably then what ESPN is today. Wouldn't you say that's comparable?
Yeah, the sports authority as far as news and media.
I
Yes,
would agree.
correct.
I would agree. Um, so, according to him in this interview that I read, um, he voluntarily goes to the FBI to be polygraphed. Okay, does it on his own accord. Apparently, according to him, the FBI exonerated him and did not charge him with any activity. Okay, prior to the day before the 1970 season, Major League Baseball and Commissioner Kuhn at the time um, suspended him until July 1. So opening day until July 1 for his involvement in this gambling scheme. So uh, now he was a character, and he openly admits this. He serves the suspension, comes back after July, and in those few months between July 1 and the end of the season, he has two incidents which worked against him. Um, One of them, he took a bucket of water and poured it on a couple of reporters that was interviewing him. Um, and apparently, it was alleged that there wasn't just water in there. So I'll leave it to you to interpret from there. One of the reporters, interestingly enough, it has nothing to do with the story, was his last name was Spolstra. who is the grandfather of Eric Spoelstra, who is now the coach for the Miami Heat, um, and who also worked part time as the Tigers' official scorer during games.
Oh,
So he has that incident. And then later in the season, he's loading the team plane and apparently took a gun or tried to take a handgun onto the plane. Subsequently, after that season, the Tigers sent him packing, and he ended up with the Washington Senators. And that's about all she wrote for Mr. McLean as far as baseball goes. Uh, in the 80s, he was officially charged with embezzlement and racketeering. One of those charges involved a retirement fund. I think that he was somehow embezzling funds from. So, anyway, Denny McLean, 30-game winner, last one since 1935. Apparently, incredibly talented as a pitcher. Had all these other things going on. I find this story fascinating. I've always been a little bit intrigued with the Denny McLean story. And again, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, viewers, but I believe he's still alive and would love to hear him talk. Apparently, he talks openly about all of these things and sort of has a nostalgic sort of look back on making some mistakes and doing some things like that that he'd like to have back. So, anyway, Denny McLean, I'm going to throw that to you.
holy cow. That's a lot to digest right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are so many different avenues we could take right now. I mean,
Well, let
this story just spider
I
webs,
know.
doesn't
I know it.
it?
I know it. Even the Spolstra connection is super
Yes.
intriguing, right?
I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. And I guess the first thing that sticks out to me, obviously, is being the last 30-game winner. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got pitchers now that won't throw 30 games total
Yeah.
in a year, let
Yeah.
alone win 30.
Right.
And that is just amazing. Now, obviously, that speaks to the cortisone shots that he was taking. I'm sure
Right.
his arm was like a piece of spaghetti at the end of each season. But
Right.
it shows you a little bit of well, it shows you a lot of the way that pitchers were managed, obviously, back in that day. And um, the numbers that they were able to put up, uh, 30 games still just, my
It's
mind just
phenomenal.
does this.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, but the rest of the story, my goodness, I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. It's incredible. That is an incredible story, on many different facets. But
Yeah.
um, to think that he was the last 30-game winner and being as recent as what it has been is a little bit of a surprise to
Yes.
me.
Yes. That's what I was going to point out. You would think that somewhere along the way, especially maybe even wartime, or
Right.
some of those guys, a lot of those guys were overseas fighting, and so their personnel was down. But I could see a Bob Feller type maybe winning 30 games, or a Sandy Koufax type,
Right.
or I mean Whitey Ford. I would think that there would be some pitchers maybe in that 40s, 50s, early 60s era
Yeah.
that might have touched 30, but apparently not. So yeah, I think that's the thing that stands out to me is uh, essentially 50 years before and 50 years since, almost, right? That nobody won 30, which is incredible. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, and you're right. I mean, most guys now. He was a rookie in '65. I do know that. So let's say he was 21 years old when he broke in. Just just a random number. So he's winning 30 games as a 25-year-old or so. A 24, 25-year-olds now, they're not going to let him throw. They're not going to
No.
let him start 30 games, let alone win 30 games.
Right. A
So
lot of them are on a 100 game or 100 inning pitch
right,
count
right,
right now, and that's still no guarantee that your pitcher is going to get through healthy. And if
right.
they do, um, thank goodness.
Yeah, yeah. So super interesting story. This is really big time. And I just thought of this. I would love to interview him personally. Like that would be the
Oh
coolest
gosh,
thing, just to sit down and have a
wouldn't it?
conversation with him. Just the stories he could tell, because that the Tigers playing the Cardinals and Bob Gibson and all those things. And Bob Gibson was dealing right in that era. I
Yes.
mean, he was as good as there was. And so uh, I think he would be fascinating to listen to from a baseball perspective. And apparently a life perspective too. He's got a lot of stories he could probably
Yes.
tell. So anyway, Denny McClain. If you don't know much about Denny McClain, look him up. Heck of a pitcher and quite a character by all accounts. So I'm going to move on. A couple things that you and I shared over the past few days via text. Uh, we mentioned a couple weeks ago that the NCAA is looking to put, or they've actually put an offer on the table regarding eligibility and establishing a 5-year window or reestablishing it. It used to be a thing, but where they could play 4 years within that 5-year window of eligibility with very few exceptions, so very few exemptions. Now it seems like they appeal and apply for extra years, and it happens pretty frequently. But this proposal does sort of shrink it back down to what you and I were used to when we were dabbling in college sports a little bit. So, by all accounts, for me at least, the 5-year window is a good thing.
Oh, I agree. Um, my concern about that is it's probably one lawsuit away from being off the
Yeah,
table.
right. I
To
agree.
be completely honest, a lot of the rules as far as eligibility is concerned end up in the court of law, and more times than not, universities can find a local federal judge that will hear the case and generally rule in favor of the player receiving an extra year of
Right.
eligibility. So, from that standpoint, I think it is a noble start. I don't know how that will hold up in court. It will be interesting to see. I do know that the President's Council that convened probably about 2 months ago. That was one of the suggestions that they brought forth to kind of reel in the NCAA was a 5-year window, and it's been interesting to see the NCAA kind of take that on
Right.
and propose that become a bylaw as far as NCAA eligibility is concerned.
Right. I think, and I've just logically, I thought about this. It applies to all sports, but I think particularly football. I mean, a 26-year-old football player and a 21-year-old football player, just physicality wise, or even 19 straight out of high school, like I think that's where it's important. That's where I see it is that shrinks that football window particularly. All sports would be affected. I mean, a 26-year-old is going to be more physically developed, had more
Right.
opportunity to be more physically developed, more skilled, all those things. But I think football definitely could benefit and sort of bring some parity back to the athletes themselves by shrinking that window to where, hey, now they're 23 ish, maybe at a max, and then they're moving on, either moving on to the NFL or done, one or the other. So, uh, again, I think all sports would obviously benefit from that, but football strikes me particularly.
I agree completely, and something has to be done. And that, like I said, that's a great proposal. That's the first step into hopefully kind of reining in the NCAA and the wild, wild west that has become. And what's odd is um, 10, 15 years ago, especially in, say, college basketball, uh, the big fad was recruiting your one and dones.
Yeah.
So the average age of your basketball team may be um, within the 2021 range on the high end,
Right.
to where now um, I don't know what Michigan obviously was this year's national championship, but they had a lot of 3 and 4 and 5-year guys starting for them.
Yeah.
So the average age probably bumped up to 24, 25, I would guess. And it's amazing how the ebbs and flows of recruiting, according to what you're allowed to do, and people finding magic in a bottle, um, has become kind of the norm across the board. Somebody figures out a way to create an instant winner, all of a sudden everybody's on board. And one thing I noticed too, Kentucky, I believe it was Kentucky. We talked about this 2 or 3 shows ago, with DePaul becoming very um, innovative in how they offered up their NIL money, with offering incentives for players to come back for a second year of eligibility that they
Yeah.
had remaining,
Yes.
and getting a bonus if they come back. I noticed that Kentucky, I'm pretty sure it was Kentucky, has signed an overseas kid, that if he decides to turn pro after his first year at the University of Kentucky, he has to pay out. He basically has a buyout clause to be able to do that.
Wow.
So I think that's a trend we're going to start seeing.
Yeah.
Universities, instead of saying, "Hey, here you go, here's your $4 or $5 million for your top recruits," they're going to start adding incentives, and they're going to start adding buyout clauses to a lot of the money that they're spending right now, and becoming more geared towards kind of the professional
Yeah.
contracts that we see today in sports across the board.
I mean, it's just business minded. I mean, I think it's
Sure.
great. I think it's a move they have to make. Um, yeah, the buyout clause, I had not heard that. Obviously, you and I had talked about the incentives if the if that university won a single NCAA tournament game, if they won two, if they won three, and so on, that incentive would grow. But that's the first I'd heard about the buyout clause. But
Yeah,
makes makes perfect sense.
absolutely.
I think everybody will jump on board and start to do that. So yeah, you're right. It's interesting how the recruiting is just, Calipari was either hated or considered innovative when he started doing the one and dones, particularly with guards that he would get, Derrick Rose and some of those guys early on. A lot of people hated him for just recruiting all those one and done types. Turns out he was kind of head of the curve a little bit, and now it's opposite, right? You're trying to get
Right.
guys that have been around a while and have a ton of experience and physically are 23 or 24 years old and probably different in terms of being men. So, yeah, it's it'll be interesting to see what the next wave is in terms of recruiting. Um, Sticking with college athletics, NCAA men's basketball, there is talk of, and sounds like pretty convincing talk, that they will expand the tournament field to from 68 teams to 76 teams starting in 2027, which would be next spring. Is that the information that you've kind of been reading as well?
Correct. That's what I've been seeing as well.
Yeah. So what this looks like logistically is they would add 8 teams. All of those teams would be at-large teams, as there are no additional conferences or conference tournaments that those teams would be generated from. So 8 additional at-large teams. Um, Presently, they have a what they call a first four, which is 4 games among 8 teams. Um, and those 4 winners go on and start on Thursday in the NCAA tournament. What is proposed is now you add 8 additional teams, and I think that if I'm doing the math right, it's going to come out to, I forgot what the format was, but maybe 12 additional games on the Tuesday and Wednesday prior to the normal start date of Thursday of that first week. The proposal is that the tournament format itself will not change once Thursday of that first week arrives. So, with that being said, are you in favor of adding and expanding the field, or do you prefer to keep it closed as it is?
I mean, I would prefer to keep it closed as is. I understand why they're doing it. More
Right.
TV money.
Right.
I mean, let's call it what it is. There's more money generated through more games,
Right.
and obviously the NCAA men's basketball tournament is kind of the crown jewel with NCAA sports. And as far as their money maker, I just think there comes a point in time where it's watered down.
Yeah.
At some point in time, you got to tell a team and a coach and university, "Hey, I'm sorry, your program wasn't good enough to be in the tournament this year."
Right.
It is what it is. So, am I in favor? No, not really. Will it happen? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just simply from the standpoint that it's going to generate more money
Right.
for both TV and the colleges and universities and the NCAA.
Yeah. So if it is truly with, for lack of a better word, sort of a money grab, do you see the women expanding their field, or I don't know the statistics, so I'm going at this blind, but I can't imagine that the women's side is percentage wise nearly as profitable as the men's side is. So, do you think the women should stay put? Do you think they will stay put on their field, or do you think they'll look to expand as well?
Should they? Yes. Will they? No.
Yeah.
They won't stay put. Um, I don't know what Title IX, how that all figures into that,
Right.
but I would say that obviously with ESPN holding the contract to the women's tournament, it's going to generate more money for ESPN.
Right.
It's going to generate more money for the NCAA, and it's going to generate more money for those additional universities that
Right.
are able to make the NCAA women's tournament. So I think they've got to look out for number one, and in their eyes, they're number one, and
Right.
so they're going to go where the money takes them.
Yeah.
And I just think if it'll be monkey see, monkey do, probably.
Yeah. I would say you're right. So sort of backtracking to our earlier conversation, coaching wise, like, does the bull's eye get bigger, if that's even possible? If you're a Division One coach at a major university, I don't even know where you draw the line, mid major to major university, and you are not in the field of 76, is your job at risk? I mean, right away.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, we're seeing it now without the expanded field.
Right.
We're seeing it now with coaches that get into the tournament but don't perform to the expectations of their fan base. So, um, yeah, I think it's just more. It's added pressure to those, um, especially those teams. Excuse me, in the major conferences, the Big Five per se,
Right.
that this is more opportunities for them to be able to get into the NCAA tournament. And there are going to be some universities that are going to expect, hey, if we're spending 10 to 15 million dollars on a salary for your players with NIL, we need to recoup some of that money by you making the NCAA tournament.
Right.
And I think that's going to generate more pressure on coaches to make number one, make the NCAA tournament, and for quite a few coaches advance and succeed in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. And I'm going to reference these days are gone, this Jerry Tarkanian quote, which I've said on this show before. Tarkanian once said that 9 out of every 10 teams in a conference are cheating, recruiting illegally, and paying their players, and the 10th one is in last place. Um,
Exactly.
so no longer can you just play by the rules and have a real high academic school and sort of keep your job. Like the the playing field is level, so to speak. Now, the money is not level, but your ability to go out and be creative and go get a player, that has changed. So I agree in that sense. Like coaches and universities and their ADs and their general managers and all that, they have more autonomy to build teams than ever before. With that autonomy probably comes even more pressure than to succeed, and succeed today means get in a tournament, uh,
Yeah.
by all practical accounts. So will be interesting. I'm with you. I mean, it is a money grab in one sense. I do enjoy the playing games sometimes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and that makes
Great
the
precursor to the
yes,
real thing when Thursday rolls around, and I guess that means TVs will be on in a lot of businesses and schools and universities throughout throughout the
right.
nation, starting on Monday or Tuesday, I
Yep,
guess, instead of Thursday.
yep. Be a lot of people not working earlier that week.
Right.
Yeah. Um, but and hey, you wonder if they won't move the selection process up to earlier on Sunday, just in terms of travel and getting teams around, because you would guess that those some of those games will now start on Tuesday morning or mid morning or noon. So to have a 4 o'clock announcement, 5 o'clock announcement on Sunday night, pretty quick turnaround. Um, the part that I do like about those playing games is the desperation in which those players play with, and those coaches coach with,
Yeah.
and those fan bases bring. It is truly like this is our one shot. You can just sense the urgency among the coaches and players and their fans. So that part's really intriguing to me. So sounds like in spring of 27, we'll have 76 teams still playing basketball. So going to switch to NBA basketball here. I'm going to close this out with NBA basketball and Major League Baseball. Um, NBA, as we speak, you and I are doing our show on a Wednesday, and it's usually released on a Friday if all things go well and technology helps us out, and it doesn't storm and those kind of things that we've been facing lately. But as of today, Orlando Magic 3-1. They're the 8th seed. They are 3-1 over Detroit, who is the 1 seed in the East. So uh, Detroit is a nice team and they're doing lots of good things, but they are definitely with their back to the wall. So we're getting ready to find out a little bit about Detroit. We have already found out quite a bit about Orlando in the first part of this series. So anxious to watch that one. Lakers are 3-1 over Houston. Houston has played the series without Kevin Durant, or at least most of it, as far as I know. Seems like to me that they're out. They're kind of without a true number one type guy, a go-to guy. And that's the piece they seem to be missing in the series. Lakers are playing without Luca, and in my opinion, I'm gonna let you respond to this. I am surprised at how well they're playing without him. That's just me.
Oh, I am too. And LeBron James, love him or hate him, has kind of thrown this team on his back, and um, he's playing with and he always has, but he seems to be playing with a little extra sense of urgency, and it makes you wonder if in his mind he knows this may be his last ride.
Mm,
This may be it for him, so he's got to
right,
make the most of it. I find it hard to believe that if LA if he does not go back to LA, somebody's going to offer him a whole lot of money to go be
yeah,
a figurehead for their program, and wisely so. You know,
right,
if you had the money to bring him in, that's a great draw. You
for
know, for
sure.
some of these lower market, mid market teams. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that and the thing of it is, if they get through this first round, which it looks like they might, and if Luca gets
Mhm.
uh, healthy, and Reeves gets fully healthy, and some of those others, boy, they're going to be a tough out. Now, if who would they face that following round?
Uh,
Is that Oklahoma
is it
City?
might be OKC, I
I think
believe.
it's OKC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's that.
No
Boy, they're going to be
picnic
a
there.
tough out. No,
Yeah,
sir. No, sir.
yeah.
So
Uh,
interesting,
yeah.
interesting times ahead.
A-
Playoffs.
And you mentioned like this seemingly he's playing with a little sense of urgency. That's what we're going to call it. And you're right. I mean, he's in the second year of a basically a $100 million deal. It's a little more than that. He's getting 50 million a year. Um, I think he could go to a small market team and they could pay him 50 million for next year, and he would be worth every penny to that franchise. They'd be money ahead. That's what I feel like. Even with a bad product on the floor, I think they'd be money ahead. So really interesting times coming up for the Lakers once the season's over. You and I have talked about the whole Bronny thing being involved. Like, it's complicated. It's a complicated situation for LeBron and for the Lakers.
Yes.
New York Knicks, probably my favorite series so far is the Knicks and the Hawks. That one is 3-2. I I'm probably going back to the 90s with this, but I just think NBA playoffs are better when the Knicks are in it. The longer they stay in it, I think it's just good for basketball. And it doesn't make me a Knicks fan, or I'm not a huge New York guy necessarily, but I think it's good for basketball when the Knicks play. Um, they are the 3 seed. The Hawks are the 6 seed. 3-2 in that one. Every game until this game 5 was really physical. Came down to some last second or last few minute execution. Knicks got the Hawks pretty good in game 5, so it remains to be seen if the Hawks can bounce back there. I don't know if you've watched any of that, but if you have, who do you like in that one?
Uh, Next game, I kind of like the Hawks,
Yeah,
to be honest.
yeah,
Um, I think they will push it to a game 7. Game 7 in New York City. How fitting would that be?
yeah.
But in the end, I think the Knicks get by and move on to the next round.
And it's interesting to see all the former Knicks players that are, I mean, suddenly, and I'm not saying suddenly, but they're super active about attending the games. And John Starks and Patrick Ewing and all those guys sitting together in the crowd on the road, even
Yeah,
is really cool. So I am a huge Quinn Snyder fan for the Hawks as their coach. I think he's been a tremendous NBA coach through the years. Did a great job in Utah, very quietly. We're kind of in the Midwest, so Utah Jazz doesn't really ring with us necessarily, but he has some great teams out there. Um, and I like him as a Hawks coach. I think he's done, and here's what I like about him. I'm going to give some of the players some of the credit to the players, but the most improved player in the NBA each of the last 2 years has come from the Hawks, and Quinn Snyder coached them. So I think that tells you something about his ability to develop players.
absolutely. And you know, he was an arguably mediocre at best college coach.
Right.
Really didn't find a whole lot of success when people kind of thought he would be.
Right.
Kind of lost his way in college, and certainly found himself and found his niche in the NBA game.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say this: he was at the University of Missouri for several years there. Had some success early. Um, uh, I'll embarrass my son here, but my son had a doctor's appointment at the University of Missouri Columbia Hospital. He was probably 8 or 9 years old, having some issues that were sensitive and tough, and they actually sent us there. And I actually called ahead to see if we could go to an MU practice after he had an appointment. And Snyder let us in and made the arrangements for people to let us in. And we got to go watch an MU practice at University of Missouri when he was there. And that would have been probably 20 years ago or so. So one of my probably another reason I like Quinn Snyder.
Yeah,
Certainly didn't need to let a 9-year-old boy and his dad in for practice, but he did. So
yeah, that's
pretty cool
awesome.
moment. Yeah, yeah. Other series going on. Another intriguing one is Minnesota Timberwolves. Right now, they are 3-2 over the Nuggets. Minnesota is the 6 seed. Denver's the 3 seed. So at least on paper, a bit of surprise there. You and I said early on we thought the Nuggets looked half step slow / older. Do they have what it takes here to beat the Timberwolves, or you think Timberwolves get this one?
I think the Timberwolves are playing with house money right now, and it's shown.
Yeah.
And I think they get through. They've got enough talent they've got the dudes to be able to do it. And like I said, there's a lot to be said about playing without pressure and expectations in any tournament you're in, especially postseason tournaments and at the professional level. When professional athletes can kind of let loose and be them, and play without any worry to the outcome, they play more relaxed, and I think we're seeing that with Minnesota.
Yeah, I agree. Spurs beat Portland last night to win that series, and Wemby was back. Man, as good as Oklahoma City is, the Spurs are dangerous with Wemby around, and they just never feel like they're out of the game. So it will be interesting to watch Wemby's playoff development.
Yeah.
His development to this point has been astounding, but it's all been regular season, and so it'll be interesting if he's going to take that next step playoff wise. Like, it's coming. It's just interesting to see whether this is the year that happens for him or not. So NBA, great stuff right now. There's 2 or 3 NBA games on almost every day of the week. So viewers, if you haven't caught any of that and you're not a huge NBA fan right now, they they play really hard right now. And so one of the criticisms of NBA is they don't play hard, they don't play defense, but this time of the year they are different. So if you haven't watched the NBA playoffs, check it out. Going to switch gears here. Major League Baseball. We are very close to May 1. I kind of said the other day, without any scientific basis for this, that I felt like May 1 was kind of the beginning of a leveling out for teams in terms of where they were sort of headed. You can kind of predict it by May 1, May 15, you really start to get an idea, and by June 1, it sort of takes shape. Right now, American League wise, Yankees 20-10, the Rays, same division, 18-11. I don't know if FanDuel had that or not. I doubt it. So you probably should have took that instead of the Cubs. I don't know.
There's a lot I should have taken and didn't.
I got you. But hey, shout out to the Rays, because let's be honest, it's, unless you're playing fantasy baseball or doing a lot of FanDuel stuff, it's hard to name many players that are on the Rays. So shout out to them. Tigers in the Central, they are 15-15, and in the West, A's are 15-14. Kansas City, you and I sort of were throwing up the white flag last week that, hey, I don't know, they may need to surrender here. But they swept the series. Was that Anaheim this weekend that they
Correct.
had? And
Yeah,
swept
the
that
Angels.
series. And our winners of 4 straight now. So Royals, and you said it last week, you called it. You thought they were still okay. Still thought they would find their way. So turns out you're a prophet.
Yeah, something like that. No, you could just tell their bats were dead to start the year. And it was just a matter of time before those bats started to wake up. And I really like their starting lineup as far as pitchers are concerned for what they can throw out there. And if they stay healthy, they've got a good core of starting pitchers. It's just, you got to be able to generate runs to put those pitchers in positions to win ball games, and they finally started to do that. Bobby Witt Jr. hit a walk off, I believe, last night, and excuse me. So, that they're more talented than what they have shown. I think we will continue to see them push up that Central Division, the American League, and be players before it's all said and done.
I agree. We highlighted a couple of starting pitchers for them last week, and you're right. I mean, right now we feel like they've got more than this, but right now they've got 2 dudes that they can roll out and they're going to give them 6 or 7 and going to give up 2 runs or so and keep you in the ball game. So I'm with you. I think the Royals, their best days are ahead of them, and the Tigers are leading that division at 500. So
Right. Correct.
that helps. You can make your way back in that scenario. So it'll be fun to watch Kansas City. I did see where I believe Jonathan India is out for the season with an injury, maybe a shoulder injury or something, labrum or
Oh,
something. I'm not sure. So while he wasn't just tearing it up, he's a solid professional major league hitter. A guy you can pencil in the lineup, and he knows what he's doing. So
he was
they,
probably the most consistent player for the Royals first month out of the gate
yeah,
offensively.
right,
And defensively. Obviously they're very talented on the defensive side of the ball. They've got good pitching. It was just being able
yeah,
to generate runs to win games, and they're finally starting to do that. The bats have been awoken. I don't know if they all have little statues of Joe Boo in their lockers, but whatever they're doing, it's
yeah.
working.
Whatever cooking they're doing, it's working, isn't it? So.
Exactly.
Switching to the National League, wow, interesting. I think the National League is fascinating this year. I'm a National League guy, so I'm sure that probably has something to do with it. But I'm going to start with this: the Braves are 21-9. If if there's anybody, let me back up. The Dodgers are the best team in Major League Baseball. With that being said, the Braves are making a case that they need to be in that conversation. They are 21-9 and just look unstoppable right now.
Yeah, they do, and they're winning games and winning big. They're able to
Yeah.
put runs up on the board. I mean, the way that they made Philadelphia, and Philadelphia obviously is struggling right now. I think they're a team similar to the Royals that if and when those bats start to heat up, they're going to start working their way up through that division. And but they just made they made Philadelphia look like a single A team
Right.
uh, out in the middle of some cornfield somewhere in the Midwest. It
Yeah.
they're that good, and I've had
Yeah.
the opportunity to watch them several times, and there's just really no weakness in that lineup that they have, pitching wise or batting wise, and um, Walt Weiss has done a tremendous job.
Yeah.
I think he's probably a player's coach. He's been there, he's done
Mhm.
that. There's respect from the players for him as being the type of player that he was back in his playing days. And hey, he was a grinder. He was back in our era,
Yeah.
growing up watching baseball, and he just he went about business the right way. And I think the team is kind of taken on his persona, and they're good. If they stay
Well,
healthy, they're
yeah,
good.
they're scary good. And um, you mentioned Weiss. I mean, and he comes from winners because he played on the A's when they were loaded and hey, those guys were not only were they loaded, they were men. Like to fit in on that
Yes.
team, you had to be a tough guy. I mean, it was Canseco and Dave Stewart and Mark McGuire, and I mean, there were some guys on that team that could play, and it probably wasn't for the weak in that clubhouse, would be my guess.
No,
So,
in more ways than one.
yeah, you are not wrong. You are not wrong. So, yeah, you're right. He's done an incredible job with the Braves, and you're right. I bet those player relationships are really good. He strikes me as a guy that builds rapport with his players, and they trust him. So, moving on to the Central, you and I, it's a good time of year for you and I because our teams are having success a little bit. Reds are 19-10. Cubs were 18-12, and about 30 minutes ago, they were 3 outs away from being 19-12. So I'm
I
not
am
sure.
I am pleased to announce they are 19-12
Well, good, because
in
I
more
could.
ways than one.
Well, yes, I could tell there was some tension rising up in you
There was a lot of tension rising.
for all kinds of reasons. But
Exactly.
hey, in a really competitive division,
Oh my.
yeah, that division's. Cardinals are still hanging tough and still playing well, and with, again, by all accounts, some no names if you just want to broadly paint it. But I mean, Walker kid's he's good, and they're doing it with pitchers you never heard of,
Right.
and so Cardinals, they've lasted longer than probably we all thought they would, including the Cardinal faithful. I think they're all surprised at their success. Brewers are always the Brewers. I feel like they're not having a bad season to this point. They're not 19-10 or 19-12 like the Reds and Cubs, but they're not far away. Pirates uh, playing better longer, perhaps than expected. That may be a stretch. We thought they would be competitive all along, just because they have a really good starting pitcher, and once every 5 days they're really good. So Cent- NL Central is good baseball right now. So I would encourage our viewers to dial into that a little bit, even if you're not a National League guy. I mean, that division's fun right now. In the West, same song and dance. Dodgers are 20-10. It pains me to say that. Padres are 19-10, and kind of pains me to say that one too. Those pocketbooks are really deep in those two places, and they buy some really good talent. So as good as the Braves are, still goes through LA, don't you think?
I believe so. As
Yeah.
long as LA stays healthy and they don't have just a rash of major injuries. When they get their pitching staff healthy and get it adjusted, I've said this all along that I feel like the weak link um, in that whole organization is their go-between guys between starters and
Yeah.
getting to Edwin Diaz to close.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, their front office people, whether we like their teams or not, their front office people are really good too. I mean, it's not by accident. I mean, they add pieces, they move pieces out and pieces in, and it always seems to work. And that's not just luck. I mean, there's some guys in there that are really sharp baseball guys, but you got to believe that they're already targeting both. I mean, there's a middle reliever or two that they've
Yes,
got their eyes on, and they usually have enough prospects in the system that they can pay dearly for that guy. And so it'll be interesting to see what middle relief guys are sort of on the market, and who the Dodgers and even the Padres. I think both those teams will add middle relievers. Um, so anyway, Major League Baseball, it's a lot of fun right now. I'm still a big fan of the ABS. We talked about that previously. Last night in the Reds game, yeah, it was last night. Uh, in Cincinnati, when the pitchers strike out 11 batters, everybody in the crowd gets free pizza. Okay. Well, last night the 11th strikeout took place on an ABS challenge.
how awesome
The
is that?
Reds, there was two strikes. The catcher for the Reds challenged it. The crowd knew it, and he won it. And
That is great.
that was the 11th strikeout on an ABS challenge, and the whole crowd got pizza, and the place went nuts.
Yeah, the
So
catcher will never buy another beer
he will
city of
not.
Cincinnati the rest of his life.
No, it was a cool moment. Like, and you mentioned it like a couple weeks ago. You were spot on how worked up the crowd gets about those
Oh my.
reviews. They get connected, and it's just
Yes.
like tennis. You referenced the tennis when
Yeah.
it can be pin drop silent in a tennis match. But whenever they go to a review, that place lights up, and that's kind of the personality that Major League Parks are taking on.
Absolutely. And I mean, you've got sponsorships that is generated by radio and television for the ABS call.
Yep.
ABS brought to you by.
Right.
They're selling the ABS, but boy, for 2 or 3 seconds, it's pretty suspenseful baseball
Yeah.
that is coming. I mean, it's not like somebody gets a Texas leaguer and they
Right.
score at the bottom of the ninth.
Right.
You don't expect that coming, but for 2 or 3 seconds, there's a suspense there
Yeah.
that I don't think, at moments. you may get some of that in a game of baseball, but this has almost become like a game show in the middle of a
Yeah.
baseball game. It's
It's
really
awesome.
neat.
I
It
love it.
is.
I love it. And
Yeah.
hey, even the husband who brought his wife to the game and she didn't really want to come, like for those 2 or 3 seconds, like she's connected. Like everybody in the whole place
Absolutely.
is connected. It is a cool moment. So and hey, throw pizzas on the line and that makes it
Oh,
even more fun.
buddy.
Uh and I'm not just saying that this has happened to the Reds, but I've watched them twice now. Once where the game was won. The Reds are the home team, and the call was a ball, and it was reversed for strike 3 to win the game, and the
Yeah.
crowd went nuts on that, and then the pizza one last night.
ABS walk off.
Yeah, it was
I never
incredible.
thought we would be saying that, but
Yeah,
I witnessed the Cubs do that
yeah,
on a question strike three count. Catcher taps his helmet. Sure
yep.
enough, ball game. It was
Was
a
that game
strike.
in
Ball game.
Chicago?
Well, I'm trying to remember where it was.
Yeah,
It may have
yeah,
been. It may have been. Yeah, I think it
yeah,
was.
yeah,
I
it's
think it
cool at
was
home.
against Philadelphia. Yeah, walk off ABS call.
Yeah, super cool.
Did not
Yeah.
have that on my bingo card
Right,
coming into this year.
right. Well, Darren, I'm going to try for next week's show. I've kind of let you down the last couple of weeks. We have a segment on here that we call Hold 'em or Fold 'em, and I just haven't gotten some material that I'm really just haven't really been in touch on some material lately. I don't want to. I don't want to undersell it. I don't want to underdo those questions for you. So I'm going to try next week to get a couple of hold 'em and fold 'em scenarios for you and make you think and have to sweat it out here on air a little bit.
That sounds great.
Yep. I'm sorry I've let you down the last 2 weeks, but
No, sir. Don't be sorry. It's a
I'll
busy time of year for us.
it is. It is. Your place too, we are under 16 days or so left in the school year, and we are almost there, my friend. So, but you're right. The end of school brings end of everything. You're
Right.
just tying everything up and it's busy. So,
Yeah.
but I will get you some hold 'em fold 'ems coming up in the future. How's that sound?
Sounds awesome. Can't wait.
All right. Hey, with that being said, I'm going to sign us off. I'm going to let Coach Archer tell you just a little bit about how you can get in touch with us or follow us. So, Darren, I'm going to throw that your way.
Sounds great. Thank you. You can see at the bottom of the ticker, we encourage you to join us and follow us on X. We also have our Facebook page, Missouri Sports Network, along with our YouTube page under the same title. Give us a like, subscribe, follow us. It always helps us when you do that for us to be able to do this every week and have two old farts sitting around talking sports across the United States. Something we love to do, and hopefully you enjoy listening to.
Absolutely. I'm going to do a little personal shout out here. This is unscripted. So, I've got 3 senior girls that played on my basketball team this year and kind of revitalized our program where I'm coaching at, and they played for me this year in a situation where they didn't have to necessarily, but they graduate in 10 days or so, and so I'm going to shout out to Ashley, Katie, and Kaylee. Appreciate what you did for our basketball program this year, and hate to see you leave, but happy graduation and good luck as you head out into the world. I think all 3 of you guys are ready for that and going to do really good things down the road. So, shout out to my seniors. Just wanted to get that in, Coach Archer.
That's awesome. That's what it's all about.
You bet. You
Congrats,
bet.
ladies.
With that being said, I'm going to sign off for this week's show. You have been watching On Deck with DeRo and Arch. For Darren Archer, I am Eric DeRosset, and we will see you next week.
This has been a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network. Thank you for tuning in.